Speaking of crazy, Matt, you've got a food story that you've
Mm.
seen, which is linked to crazy things like this.
Changing the subject very slightly. So, in terms of, I think this ties in very well to what we were saying about changing stuff that doesn't need changing
Mm.
necessarily. There's a company that you may be familiar with, Robbie, called Impossible Foods, and they're one of the companies that develops or sells, I think, in a lot of places now. I'm sure Burger King even sold some of their burgers, which aren't meat but look and taste like meat.
So
That's
they're
their.
being honest about the actual product. You think you're
But
going to McDonald's and getting actual beef?
that's it.
Ha!
Whereas this is like soya and whatever it is. But anyway, what they're doing now, they're not content with the meat market. They're sort of branching out into other areas. So a lot of people use plant-based milks. I know I do certainly, but this is they want milk that looks like milk, tastes like milk, acts like milk, but isn't actually milk. Is their next
Makes
product.
makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. The weird thing though, like that's fine. I think, that's something that you can reason with and think, there are lots of people that are lactose intolerant. There are lots of people that can't have milk for whatever reason. Great. Oh, there we go. So,
Lactose sensitive, my boy. If you're in a room with me and I have eggs, I'm sorry. You're
So you'd
well,
be the same with Matt.
let me come on to the next thing then. What they're trying to do, their thing that they're researching or doing in the background is a fake egg. So, but it's actually crackable. So it will look like an egg and you'll crack it and it acts like an egg, but it's not an egg. I don't know what it is, but yeah.
Wasn't that like a thing when we were kids? Was when they would say something like, if it looks like this and it acts like this, it's probably not this, or something like
Yeah.
that. That was a warning. Are we
Yeah.
not taking that into account now? I mean,
That's it.
I'm I'm fine. Like, look, I studied a lot about GMOs in school and stuff, a lot about nutrition for like my fitness thing I love doing. And studying about GMOs, it's definitely like bad on your food, but being
Mm.
able to change I would say the leaves of a plant so insects won't attack it and destroy a whole crop field and waste the whole entire crop thing, it's definitely needed to be able to grow food in areas where you can't grow food.
Yeah.
I like the honesty factor of like, hey, we're letting you guys know this isn't meat, it's processed stuff.
Yeah.
Because I mean, my buddy, he gets McDonald's like every morning since he does HVAC. So that's like his breakfast thing. Well, instead of getting the amazing Egg McMuffin, which is the only thing I would get at McDonald's, because the smell of those things, I don't know if I'm having a stroke or if I'm just in heaven. But he was getting a burger and he bit into it and he was like, "What is this?" And he looks, and on the back of his bread there was mold.
Oh,
And then the next day he was eating another cheeseburger, and I'm
I
like,
can't
"Dude,
believe he went back.
that's what I'm saying. I would never go and eat back at that place. I would never eat fast food again if that happened to me. I
Yeah,
had
how
gotten,
are you?
I haven't had fast food in 7 years,
Wow.
only because I got massively sick, and it might have been what I was on at the time. I was a little bit, it was back in high school. I was a bit of a 420 guy.
Yeah.
But not like wearing a tie-dye shirt. I never went that far. Um, but I had 3 McChickens and I got massively sick, like to the point where
Mm.
I thought I was going to have to go to the emergency room and get my stomach pumped. And as it came back up, it was blue.
Oh,
Nothing I
God.
consumed on that thing was blue. So it made me question, what type of meat is this and what are they using? I'm fine if a company says, this is what this is. This isn't meat. This isn't beef. This isn't a cow. This is processed food.
Yeah.
Mm.
We molded it and painted it using Leonardo da Vinci's skills to be able to make it look like an actual edible thing. I'm fine if you go and say that. That makes, in my eyes, you're doing the right thing
It's
because you're
your
letting
choice
people
then
know.
to have
Yeah.
it or not, isn't it?
But it's like if you're eating a pasta dinner, you're going to be in pain afterwards.
Yeah.
You're going to be in a carb load because it's blank calories. So what you're saying about it's milk, but it isn't milk. It was for the people
Mm.
that didn't want dairy, didn't want this. For
Yeah.
someone that doesn't eat dairy, okay. But
Mm.
if you really want milk that bad, and you just want something, but it isn't milk. I just don't want the milk. That's like having a pasta dinner saying, I don't want the after effect. No, you need the after effect. When I drink a glass of milk because I'm craving it or something, I know everyone in the room is going to be suffering, and then I'm probably going to be in some pain. So that's the thing. It takes out that factor. Once you start doing that, you're trying to breed like this perfect world where there's no issues for anybody to come across. Sometimes you're supposed to walk out and your car won't start. Sometimes you're supposed to be like, crap, I have an allergic reaction to peanut butter. Okay, then don't have peanut butter, because eventually somebody's going to try a process that's going to fine tune it. Almond butter, okay, then they're going to experience a severe allergic reaction because everyone is so uniquely different. They just find a template that works. So with all these processing of foods, it's like, do you really want milk that bad to where you want someone to spend billions of dollars trying to figure out a milk that's not milk? Or can we use that money for something else?
But the thing is, there are so many, like you mentioned, Matt, like plant-based, or like you have almond milk, don't you?
Rice is
Rice
milk,
milk.
what I like particularly.
So my wife, well, my son, when he was born, was allergic to dairy. So we had to go through the whole having oat milk, which, again, for me, there was certainly a difference because we all went on board with it. And for me, I still prefer cow's milk, but at the same time, it's not that much different. You know, there's a slight.
You get used to it.
Exactly, you adapt to it. Exactly, and to have something which is kind of manufactured in a way where, it's fake, but what is it? Kind of.
I don't trust it. Like,
No,
I'm a big fan of sort of eating food that is food. That's the simpler ways I can describe it. If you're having a meal and it's, you've got meat or you've got vegetables and they are just, it's just food or oats or whatever it is. To go, as you said, Robbie, to go through this like crazy process of engineering, I think is the best word, engineering a food to be something that it wasn't. I don't know. Well, it was.
I'm okay with that when it comes to maybe the factor of if you're going to modify it when it's in the processing part, but modifying an animal, I'm not on that mindset of things. I think that's a little bit too far. Like, oh, if we inject it into the cow's udder, it won't come out as dairy. It'll take the dairy out of it. I'm like, well, hang on a second. Then that's fertilization of an animal, and that seems like that's inhumane if we even thought about doing that to humans. So think in the mindset of a creature or a human being, but like